Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something real. What if the thing that changes your life is the thing nobody wants to do? What if greatness, real, gritty, undeniable greatness, lives in the reps nobody sees, in the pain nobody wants, in the silence where you show up alone? We live in a world where comfort is king. Everyone's chasing shortcuts like instant dopamine hits. But here's the true thing, the life you want, the version of you keep dreaming about, that comes when you force yourself to do the hard shot. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, every single day. This isn't about motivation. It's about discipline, ownership. It's about grabbing your potential by the throat and saying, let's go. So, if you're ready to stop waiting, to stop wishing, and start grinding, to do the thing nobody else will, then buckle up. Because this is where your excuses die and your next level begins. Discomfort is the doorway to growth. It's one of those truths that's simple to say, but brutally hard to live. In a world obsessed with ease and convenience, where everything from food to validation is just a tap away, the idea of leaning into pain, choosing discomfort on purpose, seems almost insane. But that's exactly where the magic happens. Comfort zones are psychological traps, beautiful prisons built out of routine, avoidance, and the illusion of safety. Inside that zone, you know what to expect. Nothing surprises you, but nothing challenges you either. And without challenge, there's no adaptation. Without adaptation, there's no progress. The human body and mind are designed to adapt under stress. That's biology. You go to the gym, you stress your muscles, they rebuild stronger. You step into a cold shower, your body adapts. You speak up when you're nervous, you grow in confidence. Every single time you choose discomfort, you send a signal, I'm ready to grow. I'm willing to pay the price. That signal creates identity, and identity shapes action. If you consistently avoid discomfort, if you're teaching yourself you're fragile, that you're not built for pressure, but if you move toward it intentionally, repeatedly, you're forging a mindset that says, I can handle hard things. That's powerful. People think the obstacle is the problem, but the obstacle is the path. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're not supposed to feel comfortable. You're supposed to feel resistance, because resistance is a compass. It points directly at the thing that matters. The conversation you're avoiding, the workout you don't want to do, the risk you keep putting off. Those are exactly where you need to go. Not because they feel good, because they stretch you. They test you. They grow you. If you only do what feels good, you'll stay the same. If you do what hurts, strategically, intentionally, you evolve. This is true in every domain. Physically, emotionally, mentally. Growth never comes from the familiar. It comes from reaching just beyond your current capacity. Athletes understand this. Entrepreneurs live this. Anyone who has built anything real, whether it's a career, a body, a relationship, knows that discomfort is baked into the process. It's not a glitch. It's the price of entry. If you want to change, you have to challenge the current version of yourself. That's the rule. You can't build something new while clinging to what's easy. You can't become something more while avoiding the fire. The fire is where the forging happens. Every time you shy away from discomfort, you shrink. You reinforce limitation. You tell your mind, this is too much, and it believes you. But every time you face it, even in a small way, you expand mind. This is who we are now, and it recalibrates. That shift isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's microscopic. But it compounds, it stacks. Over time, those small choices to lean into discomfort become a foundation. They become momentum, they become character. Comfort might feel good in the moment, but it robs you in the long term. Discomfort, on the other hand, demands something from you now but repays you for the rest of your life. There's a reason why so few people are living lives they're truly proud of. Because growth hurts. Change is uncomfortable. Progress is inconvenient. But that's what makes it meaningful. That's what gives it value. It's not supposed to be easy. That's the point. If it were easy, everyone would do it, but they don't. But most people settle. Most people numb. Most people retreat, which is why stepping into discomfort is a superpower. Not because it feels good, but because it sets you apart. It separates those who want results from those who earn them. Discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is fleeting. It's emotional, inconsistent, and unreliable. One day you wake up fired up, ready to crush your goals. And the next day you feel like doing absolutely nothing. That's human. That's normal. But if you rely on motivation, you'll only take action when you feel like it. And let's be honest. How often do you truly feel like doing the hard stuff? Waking up early, hitting the gym, studying late, making that uncomfortable phone call, saying no to distractions? None of that feels good in the moment. That's why motivation isn't enough. It can spark the fire, but it can't keep it burning. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's showing up because you said you would. It's honoring the commitment, not the mood. Discipline is consistent. It's dependable. It doesn't ask how you feel. It just gets the job done. And that's why it wins. That's why it separates those who succeed long-term from those who start fast and burn out. Discipline builds structure. It creates rhythm. It turns chaos into clarity. When you're disciplined, you don't have to guess what comes next. You've already decided. You've already committed. That decision creates freedom. People think discipline is restrictive, like it boxes you in, but it's the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. Freedom to grow, to build, to lead, to win. Because when your habits are locked in, when your actions are aligned with your goals, you're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You create the moment. You own the process. That control, that internal strength, is what builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from hyping yourself up in the mirror. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. And that's what discipline is, promise keeping. You want to be someone others can count on? Be someone you can count on first. That starts with discipline. It's easy to talk big when you're feeling inspired. But the real measure of a person is what they do when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when there's no reward right in front of them. Discipline is built in those quiet, lonely moments. It's forged in the early mornings, the late nights, the repetitions that feel boring, the effort that feels thankless. But every time you show up, you reinforce your identity. You say, "This is who I am," and that identity drives future behavior. Motivation might get you started, but it's discipline that keeps you going when the excitement fades, and it always fades. That's why you can't afford to be emotionally attached to progress. You have to be committed, no matter what. That's discipline, and that's rare. Most people rely on their mood to determine their moves. Disciplined people move regardless of mood. They don't look for excuses. They look for execution. They don't chase perfection. They chase progress. And that chase, day in and day out, is what leads to results. Real results. There's a shift that happens when discipline becomes your baseline. Suddenly, hard things become non-negotiable. Not because they're easier, but because they're required. You stop waiting to be in the mood. You stop looking for external validation. You just move. You just act. Because the standard you hold for yourself is higher than the world's expectations. And that's when the game changes. That's when you separate. Anyone can work hard when they're excited. Anyone can show up when things are going well. But it's the disciplined ones who show up regardless. Who do the work. Who keep swinging. Who build brick by brick. And over time, that consistency compounds. It stacks. It builds something real. Something strong. Something unstoppable. Nobody cares. Do it anyway. That sense hits hard because it strips away all the fluff, all the noise, and all the excuses. It's not cruel, it's clarifying. Too many people get caught in the trap of waiting for support, applause, or validation before they take action. They want someone to cheer them on, tell them they're on the right path, reassure them that their goals matter. But the truth is, most people are too busy with their own lives to care about your ambitions. It's not personal. It's just reality. So if you're counting on external encouragement to move forward, you'll stall every time life gets quiet. Success is a lonely road, not because people are against you, but because it's your path to walk. You have to carry your own weight. You have to motivate yourself. You have to believe in what you're doing even when no one else sees it. The world doesn't owe you recognition. It doesn't owe you understanding. It doesn't owe you praise just because you're trying. Trying isn't special.
Everyone tries.
What separates people is execution, doing the work consistently, especially when it's invisible, thankless, and exhausting. You're not going to get a round of applause for waking up early, grinding in silence, sacrificing weekends, or saying no to things everyone else is saying yes to. But that's what it takes. That's the price. You have to stop waiting for someone to tell you it's your time. You have to decide that it is. You have to stop wondering if people notice, because most don't. And that's okay. That's where the strength is built. In the moments you push through without any spotlight. That's where character is developed. When you show up not because someone's watching, but because you refuse to stay where you are. Every excuse rooted in other people's opinions is a self-imposed cage. What if they don't support me? What if they think I'm crazy? What if I fail and they laugh? All that is noise. Fear disguised as logic. And every second you spend worrying about it is a second you're not building. Nobody cares as much as you think they do. Most people are so wrapped up in their own insecurities, they're not judging you. They're too busy judging themselves. That means you're free. Free to go all in. Free to chase what matters. Free to fail forward without the weight of everyone else's expectations crushing you. The people who do care, the ones who genuinely support you, they're rare. And they usually show up later after you've already started, after you've already proven to yourself that you're serious. That's when they begin to believe too. Because belief is contagious, but it starts with you. Nobody is going to hand it to you. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to pull you out of bed, make your decisions, or carry your vision to the finish line. That's your job. So don't wait for ideal conditions. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Don't wait for anyone to understand. Start now. Move ill anyway. Get better anyway. Your future doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your discipline. It cares about your persistence. You either do the work or you don't. You either step up or you stay stuck. That's the reality. And the sooner you accept that no one else is responsible for your success, the sooner you take full ownership. That's where all your power is, in the choice to act, regardless of who's watching or who's clapping. Repetition builds resilience. Most people underestimate the power in the same hard thing over and over again. They think repetition is boring, mundane, uninspiring, but repetition is the foundation of mastery. It's how strength is developed. Habits are reinforced, and resilience is carved into your mindset. There's no shortcut around it. You can't grow stronger without stress, and you can't stay strong without reps. Every time you do something difficult, again and again, you're training your mind and body to adapt, to endure, to handle pressure without flinching. That's what resilience is, the ability to keep showing up, even when it's not new, not exciting, and not easy. People want results without repetition. They want breakthroughs without the grind. But success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. The gym session you didn't skip, the early morning you pushed through, the cold call you made despite rejection, the discipline to stick to your routine even when no one was watching. Those are the reps that matter. Not just physical reps, but mental ones. The reps where you train yourself not to quit, not to fold, not to make excuses. That kind of strength doesn't show up overnight. It's earned through relentless repetition. Resilience isn't built when things are going well. It's built when things feel repetitive, tiring, and unrewarding. When you keep going anyway. That's when the mindset starts to shift. That's when the threshold for adversity rises. When you expose yourself to discomfort on purpose, repeatedly, you stop fearing it. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as part of the process. That shift is critical. Because if you always retreat when things get uncomfortable, you'll never get far. But if you keep pushing through, rep after rep, your tolerance for difficulty increases. Your identity evolves. You stop identifying as someone who quits and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. Repetition also destroys fear. The first time you do something uncomfortable, your brain fights it. It wants to protect you. It screams for comfort. But do it a second time, a third time, 100th time, and suddenly it's not scary anymore. The fear turns into familiarity. That's the power of repetition. It rewires your brain. It tells your nervous system, we've been here before. We know how to handle this. And that kind of inner confidence, built through effort and exposure, is unshakable. There's no motivation hack that can replace repetition. No amount of inspiration can substitute for consistent action. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your training. If your training is inconsistent, so are your results. But if your training is daily, deliberate, and difficult, your resilience becomes unbreakable. Life will test you. Goals will demand more than you expect. You will face setbacks, fatigue, and frustration. But if you've built the habit of showing up, of doing the work no matter what, you'll keep moving. That's the edge. That's what separates the ones who say they want it from the ones who actually get it. Repetition is where mental toughness is forged. You can't read about it. You can't fake it. You earn it one rep at a time. And it's not glamorous, it's not loud. Most of the time it's done in silence without validation. But over time, those reps stack, they create depth. They form discipline. And discipline breeds resilience. Every repetition reinforces the standard. It sets the baseline higher. It says, this is who I am now. That identity, shaped through daily commitment, becomes immovable. Silence the excuses, amplify the effort. Excuses are the easiest thing in the world to make. They're comfortable, they're convenient, and they sound justifiable when you're tired, when you're frustrated, or when things don't go your way. But excuses are the language of limitation. Every time you make one, you're handing over control. You're saying the circumstances matter more than your actions. You're choosing to explain why you didn't instead of focusing on how you could. And the more you speak in excuses, the more you believe them. They become part of your story, part of your identity, eventually become your truth. You can't grow if you're constantly negotiating with your weakness. The workout you didn't do because it was raining, the opportunity you passed on because it wasn't the perfect time, the goal you didn't chase because you were too busy. Those are the moments that define whether you're serious or not. It's not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. Excuses give you a temporary sense of relief, but they rob you of long-term growth. Effort, on the other hand, is the one thing that never lies. You either put it in or you didn't. No one can fake real effort, and it always pays off, even if the results aren't immediate. Excuses are noise. Effort is signal. In a world full of distraction and entitlement, where everyone wants to be understood and validated before they've earned anything, effort stands out. It's rare. It's pure. When you amplify effort, you start to move differently. You stop talking about what you're going to do, and you just start doing it. You stop comparing your pace to others and just focus on your lane. You take full ownership.
That's power.
When you stop giving your energy to stories about why it's hard, why it's unfair, or why it's taking so long, you free up space for action. You start stacking wins instead of stacking reasons. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they allow their excuses to get louder than their purpose. They allow their energy to be pulled in 1,000 directions and effort gets diluted. Focused effort, real, intentional, repeated effort creates momentum, and momentum compounds. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the smartest or the strongest. You just need to show up every day and refuse to quit. That attitude drowns out the excuses. It buries them under action. Because the truth is, effort doesn't care about your story. It only cares about your standard. You can't amplify effort if you're constantly looking for a way out. There's no backdoor in greatness. There's only forward. There's only through. And effort is the tool you use to break through the resistance. Excuses try to tell you there's time, that you can start later, that it's okay to lower the bar. But effort holds you accountable. It reminds you that no one's coming to save you, that if you want something you have to pay for it, in time, in sweat, in sacrifice. And that payment is made daily, not once, not when it's convenient, but every single day. When you amplify effort, your mindset shifts from outcome to process. You stop obsessing over when results will come and start obsessing over how you're showing up. You start to chase intensity, consistency, and execution. That's where the breakthroughs live, in the grind most people avoid. Not the highlight reel, not the viral moment, but in the quiet work no one sees. When effort becomes your identity, excuses lose their power. They don't even make sense anymore. Because you know the truth, you either did what was required, or you didn't. That kind of clarity is rare and it's earned. Effort makes you honest with yourself. It strips away the comfort of blame and forces you to confront the gap between where you are and where you say you want to be. Be the one who goes when others stop. That mindset alone can change everything. In a world where quitting is normalized, where people tap out the moment things get uncomfortable, being the one who keeps going is a superpower. When most people slow down, fall off, or find reasons to bail, the ones who keep moving forward, the ones who grind through the fatigue, the boredom, the resistance, those are the ones who separate. That edge doesn't come from talent or luck. It comes from the decision to keep pushing when it would be easier to coast. Most people want to be great until they realize what greatness costs. They like the idea of success, but not the suffering that comes with it. So when things get hard, they justify slowing down. They tell themselves they've done enough. They look around, see others taking breaks, and convince themselves it's okay to do the same. But that's exactly the moment to accelerate. That's when you double down. That's when you show the difference between you and everyone else. Because the real growth doesn't happen in the first few reps, the first few miles, or the first few months. It happens when your legs are burning, your mind is screaming, and you keep going anyway. There's a breaking point in everything. In business, in training, and personal development, it's the place where most people tap out. That's the line. And once you recognize it, you realize that pushing past it is what creates separation. It's not about how hard you can work when it's easy. It's about how long you can last when everything in you wants to stop. When you hit that wall and decide to keep moving, even if it's slow, even if it hurts, you're building something unshakable. That's where toughness is built. not in comfort, but in the refusal to quit. Being the one who goes when others stop means you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking if you feel like it. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions or the ideal mood. You operate on discipline, on mission, on purpose. And the more you do it, the more it becomes part of who you are. Eventually, showing up becomes your baseline. Going the extra mile becomes your habit. And the idea of quitting, it doesn't even register anymore. That mindset becomes your advantage. Because most people are looking for a way out. You're looking for a way forward. People talk about wanting more success, more strength, more confidence. But more requires more. It requires more effort, more patience, more resilience, and that means doing what others won't, staying focused when distractions come, training when you're tired, committing when it's inconvenient. Anyone can push when they're motivated. Anyone can show up when the conditions are perfect. But when it's hard, when no one's watching, that's when the real players are revealed. That's when leaders rise and pretenders fade. There's something powerful about refusing to stop. It doesn't mean you never rest. It means rest isn't an escape. It's part of the plan. It's earned, not abused. There's a huge difference between resting with intention and quitting under pressure. The first recharges you. The second weakens you. When you choose to be the one who goes when others stop, you're choosing to lead yourself. To take full control of your pace, your mindset, your output. That kind of personal leadership is rare, and rare always stands out. When you adopt this mentality, people notice. Not because you talk about it, but because your actions speak for themselves. You're still standing when others fall off. You're still moving when they slow down. You become the one who sets the standard, who elevates the room, who shows what's possible when commitment isn't tied to convenience. And over time, that consistency becomes unstoppable because it's not talent that wins. It's not hype. It's not potential. It's persistence. The simple, relentless decision to keep going.